Welcome everyone back to my channel. I hope you are doing well. I know I haven't posted videos on my channel recently because I had some real life stuff that I needed to care about, so that's why I put YouTube and put making videos in second hand, so that's why there was no content on my channel. But I am back, and I want to be back on making flight sim or P3D videos. But as for now, I have some real life, I wouldn't say problems and issues, some real life situations in terms of work that is my #1 priority. So that's why I put YouTube and put flight simming in the background. But I wanted to make a video because video like this before, because under my recent videos there were some comments that that people would love to see my settings. So I decided to make this video for you, so it clears up some behind the scenes for you who are interested in my settings. I have to say I have a entry-level mid-range system. You will find my specs in the description, but I will tell you either way. But if I'm not audible enough, and if you can't pick up what I'm using, my PC specs will be in the description below. So I told you that entry mid-level because I'm using a 6th gen i5 processor or CPU, the i5 6500. It's 3.2 gigahertz, 4 cores, 4 threads, so standard mid-range system. And I have a motherboard that only can support up to 32 gigs of RAM with 2 slots, and it's only capable of getting, it is only good for, the socket is enough, the RAM slots are enough, so it's an Asrock H110 DGS. So it's a pretty entry-level micro ATX motherboard, and in that I mentioned you that I have 2 RAM slots, and that 2 RAM slots are now occupied with 2 Kingston HyperX Fury 2133 MHz. And yes, that's an entry-level DDR4 RAM. At that time I only had the money for that one, but since it's a DDR4 it's good. And you can see my video card, you can see right here, I guess that's the strongest part of my build. It's the Gigabyte edition of Geforce GTX 1660 Ti, 6 gigs, the new Turing plate, non-RTX Turing plate at 6 gigs, quite good. That was the most reasonably priced GPU for me to buy at that time, because I needed to upgrade that one from a 750 Ti. So 6 gigs of VRAM, and that's about it. I have 2 terabytes of HDD. I don't have an SSD yet. I really want to, but since my real life problems or real life issues are getting in the way, I don't have the money to get the SSD. It would greatly impact on my performance, but yeah, I don't have enough money to spare to buy an SSD either, neither an M.2. So no SSD for now. And in terms of the sim, it's P3D V4.5, the hotfix 2. I haven't upgraded to hotfix 3. I don't know why. Maybe because I wasn't caring that much about the hotfix 3, and yeah, 4.5 hotfix 2, and I guess let's now continue on what settings do I use, because that's the most important thing in this video. So in terms of settings, what I use, I have to say I don't, here from the resolution you can see I don't have a full HD monitor. That's because it's a TV monitor, not only a monitor. It's a TV monitor. It's an HD ready, 60 Hertz, 27 inch, so it's quite large to watch. And I had this screen for about 4 to 5 years now, I think, or yeah, 4 to 5 years. And the reason I got it was a gift from my family, so that's why I'm using it still. I really want to change this into a normal monitor because I don't watch TV anymore here on this, so I really want to change it, but you know, you have to buy it also, so that's why it's not good, and that's why this resolution is and probably you can see it in the videos that it's not that sharp and the other full HD streamers out there. So continuing on this, the image quality, I'm using, you know, as I told you, I have a mid-range system, so that's why I don't really use texture resolution at high, because for my eyes and for this monitor, I guess it doesn't really make a difference, and it maybe doesn't really make a difference in the sim as well if I would set it to high from medium, but medium is all fine. The thing I turned FXAA off, I don't like the look of that, so that's why I turn it off. And you can see my anti-aliasing settings is set to 8 times super sampling, and that's because of my monitor, because if I would set it to multi-sampling times 8, my edges would look really like really unsharp, so that's why I set it to super sampling. Texture filtering for me is 8 times. I don't see any difference in that, so that's why I set it to 8. I would probably can set it to times 4, but it wouldn't make any difference. So I turn my vertical sync to off. I tend to trying out turning it off or on. Sometimes it's good if it's on, sometimes it's not, so I just left it there on off, so I don't really use VSync anymore. And I will show you my Nvidia inspector settings also, and you will see that it's forced to off because of that. So moving on to the Word, this is the most downrated for me, because at most streamers you can see that it's like it's been up there, mesh resolution is up here somewhere, and texture resolution is up here. Since I have a mid-range and entry-level system, I don't really use high settings. So the only ultra settings is tessellation factor for me, because I read it about a couple of years ago that this slider affects the GPU the most, so that's why I set it to ultra, just here because of my 1660 Ti. I don't use high resolution terrain textures because because I think it would kill my frames. And moving down here to scenery objects, as you can see, it's like pretty standard, normal, everything, and medium, and that's about it, because in this system I'm going more on performance and quality, and at the same time, like, I try to find the golden mid road for my settings, and that's why I'm using these settings. In terms of water detail, I'm using high. It doesn't really make any difference, but because because you know you won't see that much water unless you're flying over the Atlantic or the Pacific. So that's why I don't just use high. Maybe it's not necessary, but I guess water detail is not really affected on the performance, so that's why I'm using it on high. For special effects, I'm using high. I guess it doesn't really affect the performance, and I think it's good for the special effects you are using, such as the immersion packages or something else like that. So that's why I set all the way to high. In terms of lighting, I have HDR enabled, but maybe it's not necessary on this monitor because it wouldn't make any difference. I left it to on because how can I say to you, it's more colorful for my eyes. So that's why I set it to that one. These values I came up with like long ago, and I stick to these because this is the greatest for me. So that's why I set it to this one. I obviously have dynamic lighting on because that's the whole thing about V4, that you can have dynamic lighting, and this is a really great feature. Although if I switch it to off, I would get better frames for sure, but this is the whole purpose of V4, so that's why it's on. For me, shadows, I have to credit Aviation Pro for this one, because he stated in, like, I found his video, like, I don't follow him personally, but I found his setting video from 2018, and he said in that one that the shadow quality should not be set to ultra or something, because it's not that, you know, it's still just a shadow. If you just want to see the edge really smooth, you just need to turn on your anti-aliasing, and that's fine. The only thing is set to ultra is the draw distance of the shadows, because if you are flying in a really cloudy area and you have cloud shadows enabled just like me, you will see that edge. If you are looking out in the spot view, if you are looking on the plane, looking for that, you will see the border of the effect. So, and that looks really bad. So that's why I set it to ultra, so I won't get that border effect. So, and that's about it in terms of lighting and settings. In terms of weather, I set this to 90 miles and high. Doesn't really make any difference, and these settings are set. So that's about it. And I guess that's about it in the internal settings of P3D. So I think I will show you right now my other program settings, such as Skyforce and my Nvidia inspector settings. And this is the settings I use for my clouds in Skyforce 3D. This is the thing I like, and this is the thing I'm going with. Honestly, I'm not an expert in this one, but this is the thing I use. So you can see in this picture what I'm doing, what my settings are. These are my setting. I have roll clouds enabled, range shaft, and tornado and funnel enabled. The overcast density is a bit like over on the top. Maybe I should use some kind of this one, but I guess I use for the Stratus, because, you know, I guess this setting is controlling the cirrus clouds over your head when you are flying at high altitudes. So that's fine. For the cumulus, I set it to the mid range because I really like the look of these clouds. So that's why I set it to this one, because maybe I can set it to this one also because it's good. And for this is the default that you are using. And in terms of my themes, I can show you this one. This is my set right now, set 5 from the 3D clouds. set 12 some the cirrus type, and you can see all of that. This is what I like. This is what I like. So this is on your choice, because you are not forced to use the same settings. You can choose whatever you like. These are just textures and something. So feel free to choose whatever you like. And I guess that's about it on Skyforce. And you know, I have this enabled, so this is my weather engine also. It works good, but in shortage of money and in shortage of the budget, that's why I'm still using this one, not Active Sky, because I don't have the money to buy that one. So yep, these are my Skyforce settings, and to finish off I will show you my Nvidia inspector settings in a moment. And to sum it up, here are my Nvidia inspector settings. As you can see in sync and refresh, I'm not using vertical sync here also. And also I need to adjust something, that it's forced to off. And also I maybe just for kicks and giggles, I turned off G-Sync global feature, because I don't have G-Sync in my monitor. I don't want interference. Moving down here to anti-aliasing setting, I set it to override any application setting, and I turned on the 3x3 or 3x3 super sampling, the 3D only. And that's my setting, and the transparency multisampling is matching the in-sim values. This is 8 times super sampling, or maybe the inside one is 8 times sparse grid super sampling, because it's SSAA, but with this setting is working for me. Down here at texture filtering, I'm using it user-defined /off 8 times, just like it in the sim. And this one, these two were set like long ago in the V3 days. These are the two settings that are working for me, because at that time I had the same monitor and I had a lower end system, lower than this, so that's why I'm using these ones. And in the common, since I'm using a single display performance mode, and the power management prefer maximum performance. And that's about it for my Nvidia settings, and that's about all my P3D settings as of June 2020. Keep that in mind, that it's not a high-end system. I'm still using an i5 CPU from Intel, and I'm not using 32 gigs RAM at 3200 megahertz and a RTX card, nor I have an SSD. So keep that in mind, that these settings are good for a mid-range system, preferably like entry mid-tier systems. So if you have a better CPU than mine, try to crank up some sliders in P3D and watch your frame rates. And yeah, that's about it. In terms of frame rates, what I'm getting, they are very different, but I can say on average stable 30, around 30 is fine. The reason I done this video because at this time, since I thought why not, and the other reason is I had to completely reinstall my P3D, because I had some issues with the NGXU, and I was trying to solve that, and hope these settings will solve my problem. If not, then the only thing is to upgrade my system. And if you are curious what I want to upgrade to, that will be the also an i5 processor, the 9th gen, the 9600KF. So that's gonna be unlocked. I will put a Be Quiet Dark Rock 4 Pro in terms of cooling on that. It's an air cooler, not a liquid AIO. And in terms, I need to change my motherboard also for that CPU. That's why it is taking so long to switch from this CPU to that one, because I can find motherboards that are fine, that are capable of getting the supporting that CPU, but whether I want to upgrade my RAM units, I have to choose a motherboard which supports RAM modules higher than 2600 MHz. So that's why it's taking more time, because that kind of motherboards are more expensive. I found one, the MSI Z390A Pro. That's an ATX motherboard capable of supporting memory modules at 4400 MHz with overclocking. So that's what I'm going for, and that's about it. My graphics card will stay the same, the 1660 Ti. So, and maybe I will do another video once I have that set up, the new CPU and the new motherboard, because I think I will surely see a performance difference, since it's a 6-core 6-thread CPU, so 2 more cores and 2 more threads. And I'm not planning to switch to AMD platforms, the Ryzen ones, because I know they are a bit cheaper than Intel, but I was on AMD specs before, and I really didn't like it, so that's why I switched to Intel, and that's what I want to stick with. One of my friends actually suggested me that why I should not buy a Ryzen 5 or something at half the price of that CPU I wanna get, and I said, like, I don't really want to, because I guess P3D and flight sims in general are more comfortable with Intel CPUs. So that's why. Maybe it's not the case, it's just my personal opinion that I really want to stay with Intel. So yeah, that's about it. Feel free to comment down below whatever you think, what you think I should adjust to my system, and just I would like to ask you that comment with caution, because just count into that I don't have a high-end system. So if you want to suggest me some things, I'm up to that, but just keep that in mind that I don't have a high-end system, so I can't move sliders too much higher than that or something. But I'm always up to some opinions, so feel free to share your opinions down in the comments. Feel free to leave your feedback, and I hope you like this, and until the next video, goodbye.